So answer me this question. I love questions. Yes, questions. There are no stupid questions. There are only, if you don't ask the question, you'll never find out. So let's see. What questions do you have? I'd Iran. I'd Iran. Does he not understand? Okay, well, maybe read the rest of it. Okay. I'd Iran wasn't interested in making a nuclear weapon, then why were they enriching uranium to 60%? Nope, still doesn't make any sense. I'd Iran. I would Iran wasn't interested. That still's not making sense. Why did? That would be wide, but no, they don't usually. You don't usually try to compound those two. If you mean if, that's if. I apostrophe D is a conjunction. It's slamming two words together. Okay, I and would. And instead of I would, we're going to mush them together, and we're going to drop almost all the letters except for the I and the D, and we're going to put a comma up there, an apostrophe up there, and that signifies two words, not just one word. But that still doesn't make sense. You meant if, if. Okay, all right. Whew, that was hard. I would like to ask you a question. Okay, but like, did you graduate from high school? Public school, right? Anyway. So if Iran wasn't interested in making a nuclear weapon, then why were they enriching uranium to 60%? Well, here's the funny part, is that 60% is not enriched enough. It's not pure enough to make a nuclear boom. It is enriched enough to make a nuclear power plant. Yeah. Generally, they want about 90% enriched uranium. Not 60, 90. Now, yeah, of course, it is easier that once you get it to 60, it's a little easier to get it to 90. But they hadn't even gotten there, and they weren't even getting there. They were enriching it to 60%, and 60% enriched uranium is usually used for nuclear power plants. And I wouldn't understand why Iran would want a nuclear power plant. It could possibly be that their water comes from the ocean, and you have to take the salt out of the water to make it potable, drinkable. Okay, because if you drink salt water, it'll make you go fucking batshit insane, and then it'll take you out. And that's the only water they got to drink. So they got to pull that salt out of it somewhere, and they have these big plants that do that. And those big plants have to be ran by electricity. So maybe they were trying to make nuclear power plants so that they could power such infrastructure such as that in oil, and they needed 60% uranium to do that. And they were able to get it to 60% uranium. But they don't have what you need to make the big... It's not enriched that far yet. And if Iran was so interested in making it, then why did they make a deal with the United States under the best and first black president of these United States, when they signed the deal with us, the treaty with us, the one that the pedophile in chief ripped up, the one that said that we would have people over there inspecting their projects to make sure that they weren't trying, and they were like, yeah. And they passed all the inspections and all of that stuff until he got in the first time. Till the pedophile in chief got in the first time. Okay, because y'all voted him in the first time, and then he ripped it up. He said, "No, I don't want to be in an agreement with Iran." Probably because it had the best and the first black president's name on it, and we all know how mediocre orange men are about black men, especially the best and first black president of these United States of America. And then when we got him out, Joe Biden, the best and first black president of these United States of America was voted in as president. And he was somehow able to manage to get Iran to sign that same deal that they signed with the best and first black president of these United States of America. And then y'all voted the motherfucker back in. Y'all voted the pedophile in chief back in. And he said, I tore it up the first time. Here we go. He tore it up again. And then, despite us knowing that they weren't enriching uranium to be able to make a big poof, he went over there after he gave them warning enough to move the uranium, okay? Then he sent big booms over there. This is very recent history. So let's recap, okay? You need to proofread, okay? You need to learn what conjunctions are, okay? Or contractions, excuse me. You need to learn how to spell. Okay, you need to learn how to use the English language, all right? And secondly, 60% uranium is not purified enough to be used for what you're accusing them of using it for. It is, however, pure enough to use as a power source if you build it. 5-second search. I don't know anything about uranium or anything like that. All I did was I typed in here, is 60% uranium enough to be used for a, and it said no. It said no. It said 60% is used for nuclear power plants, but not, you need at least 90%. Anyway, I digress. Wow, y'all are stupid.